Today we are going to have a look at how to renounce your Indian citizenship and surrender your passport. Normally you would need to do this if you've become an Australian citizen or citizen of any other country. This is mainly because India doesn't allow dual citizenship. Now, if you're anything like me, you would have started Googling as to why does India not allow dual citizenship. Anyway, India doesn't. But what you do get is an OCI card, or something called as an Overseas Citizen of India card. But to be able to apply for this card, you would first need to renounce your citizenship and surrender your passport. And that's why we are here today to see how to do that. When I say renunciation of your Indian citizenship and surrender of your passport, they're actually two different things. So let's have a look at the difference between these. Renunciation of your Indian citizenship means that you're officially giving up your Indian citizenship after acquiring citizenship of another country. And then surrender of your Indian passport basically means that you're cancelling your existing passport because it's not valid anymore because you're not a citizen of India anymore. Remember though, you need to do both. You can't just do one and not do the other. So you have to renounce your Indian citizenship and surrender your passport. When I was going through my process with VFS Global, I wasn't actually aware that you can do multiple applications in one go. At the time when I was applying for this, I actually had to also get a PCC as a foreign national along with surrendering my passport and renunciating my citizenship. And I was actually able to do it at the same time, which was great. So remember, if you've got multiple things you want to do, you can actually do it in one go if you're visiting VFS Global. I will also talk through how long do you have to submit your Indian passport at the end of the video, so keep watching. But before we jump into that, let's have a look at the documents required. I am slowly building this channel to help people just like you. So if you do like my content and want to see more of these helpful videos, consider subscribing to the channel. You will need the Indian passport surrender application form. Then you will need the renunciation of Indian citizenship application form, which is your form 22. You will need a copy of your foreign passport, a copy of your citizenship certificate, your original Indian passport, one passport size photograph, and a signed checklist. Let's have a look at filling out the online application form for a surrender of Indian passport. You will need to fill out this application form on the Indian Embassy's website. Once you're on the website, you can select the country or region from where you're applying from. So in my case, I'm applying from Australia, so I will be selecting Australia. On the next page, if you're new here, you can decide to register, or if you're a returning user, you can log in. If you are registering, it's pretty simple. Just click on register. Just make sure that for the embassy or the consulate, you're selecting the right one that is more relevant to you. So in my case, it was Australia, Melbourne. So that's the one that I've selected. Fill out the remainder of the details and then you can just click register. Once you're logged in, you will be taken to the home page. On the home page, select surrender of Indian passport. This will take you to the application form. The first page you will see is around your passport details. That's the first section. So the passport details are your current Indian passport details. So make sure to fill your Indian passport details in the first section. The next section is basically your surrender details. So obviously the reason for surrender is acquiring foreign nationality. Applicant's nationality, you will normally be doing this after you've acquired the nationality. So you can select whichever new nationality you've got. In my case, it was Australia, so I will be selecting that. Then you'll have to provide details about when you acquired the citizenship and then your passport number, like your other nationality's passport number. Once you've put this information in, click next. It will take you to the next page, which is applicant details. These are just basic details like your name, last name, your gender, your date of birth, and your place of birth. It will ask you for a marital status, your education qualifications, and any visible mark. I just left that blank. Once you've filled out these details, click on Next and it will take you to the family details section. In this section, you will fill out your mother and father's names. If you've got a legal guardian, you can fill in their name. In the previous section, if you've selected that you're married, it will give you the option to put in your spouse's given name, surname, and spouse's nationality. On this page, this is probably the mandatory section. Once this information is filled in, click Next and it will take you to the present residential address section. The first question is whether your present residential address is out of India. In my case, it wasn't, so I just clicked no, and then it will ask you for your current home address, followed by your email ID and your mobile number or your telephone number. Click Next once you're done. It will take you to the emergency contacts section. It will ask for their name and their address, phone number, and then telephone number if applicable. Once you've filled that in and click Next, it will give you the surrender certificate details. So it will get you to confirm your applicant name, your passport number, and then your surrender reason. Once you've clicked Next for this, you will be taken to the surrender application summary. So just make sure that you go through the details of your application and see if everything is correct. Once you've checked it, read the declaration and then click I agree, put in the place that you're doing it from, and that's it. Once you've submitted the application, you would need to download this application. To download the application, go back to your dashboard. Once you're on the dashboard, just scroll down and you will see the list of applications that you've got there. Select the application you need and then it will give you the option to print right there. We've filled out the online application form and downloaded that form. Now let's have a look at how to fill out the Form 22. This form is for renunciation of your Indian citizenship. Form 22 is pretty simple. You start off by writing your full name, followed by your full residential address, your place of birth, and your date of birth. You then declare whether you're married or not. I just scratched out the part that was not relevant to me. Then you move on to provide your Indian passport number and the date of issue. If you've got any minor children who are citizens of India, you can provide their names in the next section. For me, this was blank. And then you just move on to provide your full name and then you just make a declaration. The next page of this application form asks you for your details again, like your full name, your permanent address in India, your profession or your occupation, your place of birth and date of birth, what nationality you've acquired, if you're married or not. If you are married, what's the name of your wife or your husband, and the names and nationalities of your parents. And at last, if you've got any kids, their names. Again, you date this and the place, and you put in the place that this was filled in. Another document that you will need is a filled and signed checklist. Let's have a look at that. Earlier in the video, we have actually filled out the online application form, printed it out and signed it. So that's a tick for you. We've also looked at filling out the Form 22. So that's another tick. As a part of documents required, we've had a look at requiring an original Indian passport. So make sure you've got your original Indian passport on hand. You'll also need one recent photograph, 2-inch by 2-inch photograph. If you've got one, well and good. If not, then you can always get it clicked at Auspost. You'll need a photocopy of your current passport and a photocopy of your citizenship certificate. If you've got that, that's a tick for you. Now, depending on how you're submitting this application, you can either submit it via post or in person. If you're submitting it in person, you will need an appointment letter. But if you're sending it by post, you don't need to do that. Similarly, if you're applying by post, you will be providing your payment details. But if you're going in person, then you don't need to provide this. And then finally, on the applicant side, put in your name and your signature, and your checklist is complete. Having said that, let's deep dive into the mode of submission. Like we've seen earlier, you can either apply by post or you can apply online. Regardless of how you're applying, you would still need to print out your checklist, your passport surrender application form, your Form 22. You would still need to have a photocopy of your foreign passport and your citizenship certificate. The only difference would be how you submit these documents and your application. If you're submitting it by post, gather all of your documents and your application together. Make sure you submit your original Indian passport. Take your documents and your application form to AusPost to be posted. Just remember though, you will need to post your documents out to a PO box address. Depending on what state you're in, your PO box address will change. I've provided the link in the description below so that you can have a look at what your state's PO box address is. Obviously, if you're posting it out, the postal charges will be covered by you. If you're submitting this in person, then just make sure to carry all of your documents, your application form and your original Indian passport with you, and make sure to also carry a 2" by 2" photograph. You can get this clicked at AusPost, but I've heard that VFS Global also offers this service in person if you go there on the day. For in person, you will also need to book in an appointment. But when I was applying, I just could not find the time. Like, it just showed that there were no booking times available at all. So after confirming with VFS Global, they said that I can actually walk in, and the walking times were between 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Just be mindful though that it can take ages. In my case, I waited for more than 2.5 hours. It was painful. Even though the wait was quite long, for me, it was quite alright because I was doing 2 applications in one go. I was doing this one and was also applying for my PCC as a foreign national. If that's something that you want to know how to do, the link should pop up for you now in the top corner. Hopefully it does pop up. This is the first time I'm trying this out. So if it does, well and good, you can click on that link. If not, then you can always find the link to the video on my channel. Let's have a look at charges now. VFS Global actually has a fees and charges calculator that you can access, but that calculator actually did not give me the costs required for this. So I actually called them up, and when I called them up, they told me that it could cost me about $270 for me to surrender my Indian passport and renounce my citizenship. But then I went back and had a look at my transactions, and it looks like I was charged $217. So I'm not really sure how the charges work. But as an estimate, you can look at about that 217 to 270 kind of mark. This cost range is for submitting your application in person. If you're doing it via post, the postal charges will be applicable to you, so that might put your costs a little bit higher. Now let's have a look at timeline. It can take anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks after VFS Global has received your application. In my case, it took about that 4-week mark because I submitted my application in person, but I opted for the documents to be returned back to me via post. So if you're posting in your application and requesting for you to receive those documentations by post, then just allow for that extra time. If like me, you're wondering what happens after you've submitted your application, I was actually thinking that I will not be getting my Indian passport back. Maybe they're disposing it off. I was feeling a little sad that I won't get to keep it. So the night before, I actually scanned my whole passport from the first page to the last page. But it was a happy surprise when I received my documents back because the passport was in the documents and it was just cancelled. I also got the renunciation letter with the passport. If you want to apply for OCI, you will need to do this process first. If you want to know how to apply for OCI, stay tuned because that's a video I'll be making soon. Once I do, you will see it pop up somewhere on the screen. But until then, if you need your PCC done as a foreign national, you can watch this video or this one to learn about tax bases in Australia. Let's have a look at a couple of frequently asked questions. What can you do if you have lost your Indian passport? In a situation like this, you would need to lodge a police report. You will need to submit this police report along with a statutory declaration saying that it's lost. If you have a copy of your old Indian passport, then you'll have to submit that as well. How long do you have to surrender your passport and your Indian citizenship? Generally, it is advised that you do it within 3 months of acquiring another country's citizenship. If you do it quite a bit, or if you keep traveling on your Indian passport, then you might have to face some penalties. I hope that you found this video helpful and you now have a clear roadmap to follow. I try and make these videos as valuable as possible for you so that your process becomes a lot easier. Please support me to bring more such content out to you by liking and subscribing to this channel.